Greetings, brothers and sisters. It would be a better day for me if I had remembered to turn my microphone, so I got to do Britney Land again. Thank God I realized it before I went further into the video. Pre-election day stuff, bunch of gas from JoJo Magoo. Nancy Pelosi's interview about her husband Paul and his big adventure, and there's multiple other things. Bunch of stuff with Twitter, multiple posts about Twitter. And so, but let's start here with Britney Land. So a bunch of people sent me this thing. She's got this Pure Life water that she's possibly shilling for. And there's been a new development about her personal health, which is why people are sending me this particular clip right here. But here, let's start here. A queen is still a queen, no matter what you think of her. A woman's self-worth is not determined by what she does. The value she places on her life has nothing to do with whether or not you like her. She is going to love herself regardless. None of those things are true and are really hard to understand. This dude right here. Exactly. What about the post you deleted? What a woman does says a lot about her self-worth. Exactly. And so a queen is still a queen no matter what you think of her. Well, that is a true statement. But you are not a queen. And it's good that you're not a queen, right? They call Britney a queen, and people call themselves queens, and other people call people who aren't queens queens. A queen is, there's two ways to be a queen. You're born as a princess into a royal line of succession in some country where there's still royalty, and you become a queen. It's not a good thing, which I said before. Or you marry a prince, and he becomes king, and you're queen, and maybe he dies, and you're still queen, right? Those are the two ways. And other than that, you're not a queen, right? If one of those things didn't happen to you, you're not a queen. Stop calling yourself a queen, because you're not one. And it's a bad thing to be, because it's the most racist thing. What it says is, based in your genetic line, based in your genetics, you are born to rule over other people and are superior to them based in just your genetic, the genetic makeup, right? And only certain people get to marry into the family, all this stuff. So a queen is not a good thing. But the whole thing is, line number 2, a woman's self-worth is not determined by what she does. Well, I don't even know what self-worth means. These are bogus, new psychological, new age concepts. Self-worth is like a stupid, a stupid idea. But what you do definitely contributes to your alleged self-worth, right? I mean, of course it does. Performance is a big part of life, right? If you perform well, then you feel good about yourself and other people feel good about you. The value she places on her life has nothing to do with whether or not you like her. Well, yeah, maybe for some people, but not you. Like you're on Instagram because you have such a need to be validated by other people, right? And this is what social media is about. Like, why are you on social media then? She's going to love herself regardless. Loving yourself is, again, a false concept. It's a new age concept. Love flows through you. You have love in your heart, and you can't keep it to yourself. It's something that you give to other people. Love flows through you like water flows through a river. If you keep it for yourself, it turns into something else. And loving yourself would be narcissistic. I mean, when people think about self-love, it's about, positive self-talk and, it's a bunch of narcissistic things. It's not a real thing. So, the whole thing is wrong. Like, there's nothing about this thing that has any merit or value. But let's get to the big one here. So here she goes dancing. She comes in spinning. She's going to spin. She's coming in. She's not even playing around. She's going to come and spin right away and then back the other way because she doesn't want to get dizzy. She's going back the other way. Grab her shorts. Give a goofy smile. Hug your head. She's good at hugging her head. Put your hands in the air. Then put them again. Do those funky hands. Here we go. And push out that water. A little product placement. Then grab your Your hands again. Hug your hands. She's wearing a glove on one hand for some reason. Doing her Michael Jackson. She's got the smile. Spin around. Head. Get the thing. Look how cute I am. Look how cute I am. Hey, look at my hair. It's my hair. Swirl my hair around. Swirl my bottom. Look at my bottom. Grab my bottom again. Pull my pants down because I'm a full service gal. Pull my pants down in the front because I just do that. Do that. Little happy feet. Little happy feet. Little happy feet. Happy feet. Look at my bottom. So then hug my head again. I'm good at hugging my head. Hug my look, grab my shorts. Do my little two-step spin around again. Now back to spinning. Back to spinning. Look how happy I am. I'm so happy. Spin back the other way. Here we go. I want to hug my head, but it's a modified hug to my head. Here we go. Spin it. We'll grab it. Happy foot. Ooh, sultry. Spin it around. I think that's how it began. But this is the big thing here. I'm dancing in time now, Victoria. Yes, nerve damage on the right side of my body. There's no cure except God, I guess. Nerve damage is caused sometimes when you don't get enough oxygen to your brain. Your brain literally shuts down. Blah, blah, blah. Old story. This is just classic. Blah, blah, blah. Old story. That old story about me not getting enough oxygen to my brain. And this all starts to make sense, right? In that place, she doesn't tell you where that place is. I didn't breathe when I was there. Maybe a treatment center. Nerve damage causes part of your body to go numb. I wake up 3 times a night in bed. Good thing you're in bed. You're not in front of the refrigerator or something. And my hands are completely numb. Nerves are tiny, and it feels like pins and needles from the right side of my body and shoots up my neck. And the part that hurts the worst is the temple in my head. It stings and it's scary. That's where they've chipped you. The last 3 years, since I got out of that place, I've been in a mild unconscious state. She's talking about like we know what place it is. I couldn't face it. It was like it was too scary to be there. Maybe it's an internal place, like a depression. I don't know. There's a happy feet, happy feet. Although my Instagram has been not up to par to most, hey, it gave me existence and got me here. It's funny, though, when I dance, I don't feel the pain. But we do. And although I don't move like I used to, it's not the movement so much as the choreography and the facial expressions. I truly believe in my faith it can give me strength. I truly believe my faith in it can give me strength. By the grace of God, I finally found medication where I actually feel oxygen go into my brain and through my neck. Okay, what is this medication you speak of? There's actually nerves that can help you, herbs that can help oxygenate your brain. My eyes are more open now, and I can hold my head up correctly. I've done a good job trying to pull it off. Either way, I'm getting a lot better. I can breathe. I feel smarter because, well, Jesus, I can breathe now. She feels smarter. She just doesn't. Either way, I'm breathing now, and I can dance in time, Victoria. I'll send all my love to every single one of you. This is me this morning. I'm going to vacuum now. She's going to go vacuum. And then this person, reposting again, something seems off lately. Yeah, you posted this without reading all this. You're a bogus poster because she explains it. She said nerve damage and brain damage, and she wasn't breathing. Why all the references to Victoria? Who is this Victoria that you speak of? We thought you moved from this house. Again, it's all explained in here, you guys. And then there's this. Boop! Today, look up. And then you'll see that when you look up, right? This would make an awesome single cover. Go live, sis. She don't give a flying F. Boop! All right. Absolutely gorgeous. There she is wearing a hat. She's got a new hat. Hey, look at my hat. Look how happy my hat makes me. Boom. Look at how funky my hat makes me feel. Hey, where's your hat? Put your hat back on. Boop, there it is. There's that and the other one. And one more Britney dance. Here she comes, grabbing her shorts, and she comes in happy, and she's running, she's spinning, she's wiggling her bottom. Look at that. Madonna's got a twerky thing I got to get to, too. She's got crossing her hands up, grab her boobs. I got drain Bamage walk. I'll put my face right up in the camera. Here we go. I'm spinning. Okay, look at this. Spinning, hands to the left, hands to the right. Look at that. Put my hands behind my head. Spinning up again. Here we go. Grab my hand, grab my shorts, pull my shorts down for you. Here, that's full service gal. Do that again. Run up to you. Running. Boom, there's me. I'm there. Grab my shorts again, pull them down. She really wants to take her shorts off. Shorts are holding her back. Put my hand under my hand, put my hands under my arms for some reason. There we go. Spinning around, doing the, oh, look, I'm sultry. Coming in singing. Yeah, there's my smile. Look at reach for the stars. Look at it. It's up in the pole, up in the pole, up in the pole. And go, touch my head. Around again. There we go, being sultry, spin around. Give his knees, with your feet, happy feet, over the tail. I'm a chipmunk. Right down, and spin around. Look, I got nerve damage. Look, everybody, pull my shorts down. Hey, that's not my fault. I got brain damage. I don't get enough oxygen when I was in that place. Spin my bottom around, reach for the stars, do my chipmunk dance again. Here we go. Back and forth, and here, who says nerve damage? Just look at my, pulling my chest out. Just back to the beginning there. I was feeling myself. At this point, I wonder if she's just trolling us. Dr. Neurosis. Dancing is her therapy. Keep feeling yourself. We're here for you. We're here for it. I don't care what anybody says. This is not normal. But spit on. You know, she's got nerve damage, all right? You guys are not keeping up to date with her posts. Let's get to one JoJo J. Magoo. Here he is.
10, 12, 15. Oops, stepping on a... It's black. Anyway.
This is just 6 seconds of joy here.
10, 12, 15. Oops, stepping on a... It's black. Anyway.
What is it? I hope it's not a person. Like, what and then there's this here.
Hey, man. Don't jump. You look crazy enough to jump. Don't jump. Don't jump.
You look crazy enough to jump.
Look. And we're coming. And we're coming to make sure that $35 a month is for everybody.
$35 a month? Is that what we're reduced to?
Starts in January. Look, folks, we got to make things affordable for people. We got to make sure we're making big investments ever to deal with the climate crisis. You know, the MAGA Republicans and that guy up on the balcony there threatening to jump. They don't understand we have a climate crisis.
That was so bizarre.
Look, talking about my historic commitment to HBCUs, that includes the $5.8 billion I put in the budget for HBCUs.
It's like we're just able to print money.
You know why? HBCUs don't have the endowments others have, but guess what? You're just as smart, you're just as bright, you're just as good as any college in America.
Where is this America place that you speak of, and how can I get there?
It's in America. It's in America. It's in America. And that money is to build laboratories and other things for the future that you need to have access to. And of course, you got that next governor. What's his name? Wes Moore.
Thank God the audience is holding up cue cards for him. Wes, what's his name? Wes Moore. I see it. And then there's this with his granddaughter, Natalie Biden.
Hey, I'm Natalie Biden, and I just turned 18, and I'm going to vote for the first time with my pop.
I'm so excited for her. This is the first time, the first vote. God love her.
He's just so out of touch. God love her. God love her. She's voting for the first time. God love her. I mean, before she voted, God hated her. Like, God wanted no part of her. But now that she's voting, God love her.
We're on our way. Are you excited, Pop?
I'm excited to be voting with you, honey.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
I don't know if it's the best idea to ask Pops if he's excited, right? Because Pops is a little creepy.
Well, now that I voted, it was a much easier experience than I thought it would be.
Well, that's not what I heard. I heard the Republicans were making it hard for you Democrats to vote. So I think this is counter to the message I've been receiving from you guys. By the way, the place that JoJo Magoo was speaking was in Maryland, in a Democratic stronghold. So he's campaigning in states that aren't, like, he's not going to any of the toss-up states, right? Any of the states that are in play, because he's toxic, right?
It was very easy when I was in the voting booth. I really feel like I made a difference, you know? Everyone's voices matters, no matter what our age is. And we got our triple thick black and white milkshakes to celebrate.
Here's the voting.
Cheers, Pop.
And maybe now that you're done, you can go smoke crack with your Uncle Hunter. Hunter doesn't like the milkshakes, but he's got plenty of crack to spare. So the night before the election, day before the election, Nancy Pelosi says her husband's paying the price for a divisive political landscape. But here she is with one Anderson J. Cooper. This is Fire Marshal Shill. And she's given an interview with him, and it starts talking about her hubby.
First of all, I'm so sorry for all that's happened. How is your husband?
Is it your fault, Anderson? Did you do it? Were you involved with that guy? Did you give that guy the hammer? Did you send that guy a hammer for his birthday?
Demanding to know, where's Nancy?
Stop the hammering out there. Who's got a hammer? Where is it?
I don't know.
Where's the hammer? Is it on the, go up on the other floor. Somebody go up there and stop the hammering.
What does his recovery look like?
Well, thank you. Thank you for asking and your comment. He's doing okay. He is, it's a long haul, but he knows he has to pace himself. He's
a pacer.
A gentleman that he's not complaining. But
he's such a gentleman. Gentlemen don't complain when they've been hit in the head with a hammer. You lowbrow guys, you guys whine about getting hit in the head by a hammer. Only you know you're a gentleman when you get hit by the hammer, and you say, "Hey, it's okay. I'm not gonna complain about it."
He's also knowing that it's a long haul. He's so concerned about the traumatic effect on our children and our grandchildren. And we're concerned about the traumatic effect on him. But again,
we're all concerned about the trauma.
He's on a good path with excellent care from San Francisco General and his healthcare providers.
Is he going to be able to give us any stock tips that he gets from you? Is that going to...
Has he been able to talk to you about what he was thinking when he woke up and found this person in the room?
We haven't quite had that conversation because any revisiting of it is really traumatizing. It was hard, and one of the hardest things all week was to go back into the house for him, in the entrance, which is, of course, where
the attack took place.
Hit.
Stop the hammering!
And, of course, upstairs in the bedroom where that person...
What about security? How come you have no security?
Made his entrance, shall we say. So we haven't, and the doctors have said, we don't want him to watch the news. We don't want him to be revisiting a lot of this, at least not now, because it will add to the trauma. And the operation was a success.
Are those real pearls?
Yes, but it's only one part of the recovery. The traumatic to a drastic head injury, it takes some time.
Have you been able to listen to the 911 call?
No. I haven't been able to listen.
When he calls him a friend and they know him by name?
To that, or the body cam, any of that, no. I imagine when it is in the public domain is when I will have a chance to see it. But even then, the physician...
Do you want to hear it?
And I don't think so. But
talk about what would have happened if you were home, Nancy. Would you give that guy a solid thrashing?
I don't know if I'll have to.
Because Lawrence O'Donnell said, if you had been home, it would have been different. The guy would have been up for a fight.
I just don't know. That's all a matter on the legal side of things.
There are obviously a lot of details in the affidavit, but I mean, had your husband not had the presence of mind to call 911 and
Exactly. There's a guy standing over him when he was sleeping, right, Anderson? And he wakes up and he goes, "Excuse me, sir. May I call 911, Mr. Hammerman?"
able to call 911, I mean, there's no telling what would have happened.
He was cool, and Paul's cool.
He's cool. He's cool as a cucumber. How you say cucumber?
He's cool. He called and with enough information, but not too much information because the guy was very threatening. He was very big. I don't know if you can see that or not. He's very big.
He's big in what way, Nancy?
6'4", 260. So
The assailant. The assailant.
the assailant, and he was right there, just like a few feet away from Paul, hearing all of this. So he had to.
Well, why wasn't he stopping? This is a criminal mastermind. What are you talking about? Okay, this is a criminal mastermind who was going to go on a spree of hammer hitting and suiciding himself. I mean, and you're talking about how, what are you talking about here? He's within distance of Paul Pelosi calling 911. He let him call. What criminal allows their victim to call for help, right? Like, what's going on there, Nancy? Like, you said he didn't want to talk about it, and you don't want to revisit it, and how do you even know this? How do you know the guy was that close? You said you didn't ask him about it. You said you don't want to re-traumatize him. Your story is folding even as you speak.
And he saved his life. Paul saved his own life with that call.
Exactly, 911.
Because that really gave enough information to go. But
Had the 911 operator not been,
right.
Figured it out,
God bless her, for that, and then took it from one level of concern to another, and therefore the police came, and that's
Exactly. When he said he was a friend and said his name was David, the criminal mastermind gave his victim the name and allowed him to say it. Why didn't the guy just allow Paul Pelosi to put up a video, a live Instagram video?
what got the police there.
where were you when you got the news?
Well, I was sleeping in Washington, D.C. I had just gotten in the night before from San Francisco.
He missed you by one day? What are the odds?
And I hear the doorbell ring and think, it's 5 something. I look up, I see it's 5. They must be the wrong apartment. No, it rings again, and then bang, 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 bang on the door. So
There's a bang, bang, bang. It's like somebody's hammering down there.
Call Griffin. I don't care who the to call. Stop the hammering.
I run to the door, and I'm very scared. I see this Capitol Police, and they say, we have to come in to talk to you. And I'm thinking, my children, my grandchildren. I never thought it would be Paul, because
we have security at our house and all that. And, he's only 82 years old. I mean, nothing could be happening with him.
I knew he wouldn't be out and about, shall we say. And so they came in at that time. We didn't even know where he was or what his condition was. We just knew there was an assault on him in our home, and now they were taking him to a hospital, which turned out to be San Francisco General, which is a leading trauma center. Thank God they went there. It wasn't the closest. We have hospitals a few blocks away. It wasn't the closest, but it was the right place to go.
It was the right place. It wasn't the closest one, but it's the one that us privileged people go to.
For that.
He was actually struck in the head with the hammer.
Right.
With a hammer.
Empty out the goddamn control room and find out where this is going on. It's either there or out there somewhere.
Boop. Out of control.
Boop.
The top, 2 places.
2 places with the hammer. 2 places.
And that's pretty awful. That's pretty awful. But the good news was when he had the operation, and we were blessed by the healthcare professionals at San Francisco General, they told us it had not pierced his brain, which was
There's no brain piercing.
be deadly or worse.
So the hammer had not actually cracked?
Oh, no, it had cracked, yeah.
Jesus Christ. Crazy sound coming in my ear, this stupid hammering.
Well, they have
It cracked. What was that? Speaking of, is this a Bob Saget? What happened to Bob Saget compared to this?
Oh, no, it had cracked, yeah. Well, what they have to do is they have to take off the skull, reshape it, put it back so it isn't scratch or pierce the brain. So it's a pretty serious operation. And
Yeah, they're taking off the top of the skull.
Concerned about swelling also on the brain.
always concerned about
Bleeding in the brain.
hematomas, all the rest of that. But my son Paul told me that when I got on the plane right away to come to California, but he was now out of the operation, and Paul said, "Mommy's on her way here," and Paul said, the first thing he said,
No. Tell that bitch to stay in D.C. Tell that crazy boop to stay in D.C. Look at the fire marshal show.
he's on her way here, and Paul said, the first thing he said, "Oh, your mother's going to be very happy because the Ravens won last night."
That's what your husband.
You know, it's time for smiles, Nancy. Exactly. Look at her smile. This is the kind of hopeful person we need as our future possible president or something. Look at her hopefulness. The Ravens won. Let's get down to what's brass tacks and what's important.
Because the Ravens won last night.
Look at her.
That's what your husband said
Yes.
out of the operation.
Yeah, Baltimore, my Baltimore connection. So we thought, well, okay, he's with it.
He's with it. Yeah, he's getting down with what's important.
He remembers they won, and obviously knows after the 49ers, my dedication to the Ravens.
You were the intended target.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was. Let's get serious. You were the target, Nancy. Nancy, you were the target.
I told you why I wanted those words cut. It just sucks. It sucks to be out here with this out of control Any thing can come into my ear at any moment. These things. How do you say this guy's last name?
Elon has told police, it's in a sworn affidavit, that he wanted to.
And he's believable, He breaks into a man's house with wielding the hammer, allows them to call 911, allows them to let the police in. The man runs back in and struggles with him, even though the police are there to fight off the assailant. And this crazy MNF manifesto writing Trump supporter, he's totally believable. Anything he says, we got to take as fact. If he says it, if he confesses it, it's got to be true, because this guy is the real deal.
Take you hostage, interrogate you, break your kneecaps with the hammer if you didn't give him the answers that he wanted.
For me, this is really the hard part, because Paul was not the target, and he's the
Exactly. You were the target. You got kneecaps aplenty.
one who's paying the price. I mean, we all are, but he's the one who's really paying the price. But it's really sad, because it is a flame that was fueled by misinformation and all the rest of that.
Oh, yes, it was. It's blame misinformation. It's misinformation. Not that you had no security post the January thing. You had this big January thing where you were targeted then, and you're not a likable person. You're not liked. You're hated by the right, which, you've done lots to create that. They've done, they're all, it's on everybody, right, for the divisive nature of the politics. It's on you, it's on Trump, it's on Hillary, it's on JoJo Magoo, it's on the media, it's on everything, right? It's a divisive time. And you should have security. I mean, there's no security at your house, right? And, it's not misinformation, Nancy.
Which is most unfortunate. It has no place in our democracy.
Exactly. No, You can't have alternative points of view in a democracy. Let's get rid of all the different opinions and only have one opinion, because when we have more than one opinion and people are freely able to express themselves, that's not democracy. Finally, somebody's saying it. Look at the balls on this woman, right? She finally has the balls to pull this off.
Because no one thinks we have the balls to pull this off.
President Biden drew a line between what happened on January 6th and the attack on your husband. The president.
And so you haven't done anything since that event to make sure something like this wouldn't happen.
And I quote, the assailant entered the home asking, "Where's Nancy? Where's Nancy?"
Demanding to know, where's Nancy?
Where's Nancy? Where's Nancy?
Where's Nancy?
Where's Nancy? Where's Nancy?
Where's Nancy?
Those were the very same words used by the mob when they stormed the United States Capitol on January 6th.
That's right.
Do you draw
So
that?
again, so how could she see this coming? It happened before. Where's Nancy? Where's Nancy?
That same line?
Absolutely. There's no question. It's the same thing. And
It's exactly the same thing. They all had hammers. They're all kneecappers. They're all looking for Fire Marshal Schill.
cat or whatever it happens to be, inflamed by the same misrepresentation.
Exactly. By people expressing their opinions on the internet. Can't have any of that. Because, we couldn't get some security to stop this criminal mastermind who comes armed with a hammer and zip ties and breaks in and stares at my husband while he's sleeping, allows him to call 911, allows him to let the police in. This guy was a criminal mastermind. We can't, have misinformation for some guy like this to use in the wrong direction and do something like this. Well, there's nothing we could have done. We couldn't have, one security guard couldn't have stopped this guy. One armed security guard couldn't have stopped this big, giant, hammer-wielding, Thor-like human being.
The fact is, right now, it's time for healing. We want the country to heal. This is not a path that we can continue on. And we want
Okay, so what are you talking about?
people to run for office, local, in every way. And you can't say to them, you're risking the safety of your families by going forward. There are no guarantees of safety. I'm very pleased that in August we were able to reach a place where the Sergeant at Arms informed the members of the House of an amount of money that they would have, $10,000, and have the Capitol Police come and evaluate what their needs were to make their homes safer.
Exactly. It just happened. So it just happened in August, though. We weren't able to do anything, and we don't have any money. It isn't like I give my husband stock tips and he invests in the stock market and he makes a whole bunch of money, so he can hire these dudes to show up in the middle of the night for him. I mean, these assailants, and so
there was a recognition where we're gone, our families are home, and that if that's scary, or even if we are home. But so we recognize that it was figured that amount of money could do what it needed to do in the homes.
But I mean, you have a large security detail. You have great protection around you. If this can happen to someone in your family, it can happen to any member of Congress's family.
Well, she should have security at her house. They should have security at their house, extensive security. In fact, they had cameras, but they weren't watching the cameras. Someone going to be fired? Somebody wasn't doing their job? Because this was all recorded by Capitol Police who weren't watching it. And, they're worth a fortune. Her husband's net worth is $114 million. Plus, they got all of the stuff to do with the resources of the United States government. She's third in line to be the president. And with all of that, there was nothing there. You guys aren't going to talk about the lack of security. That some big, dopey, hammer-wielding criminal mastermind can break into their house and do all this. And then, magically allow them to call 911 and let the police in.
How does no amount of security is going to stop that? How does this stop? I mean, how does this not happen again?
Well, you would think that there would be some level of responsibility but what you see what the reaction is on the other side to this, to make a joke of it, and really,
Because you're liars, right? Don't blame us for you being liars and us not believing you. I said this in a video on my other channel, that as soon as this happened or anything like it happened, I would guarantee you 100% that this is the narrative we would hear. That the guy was a Trump supporter. He was triggered by stuff on the internet, misinformation on the internet, and that was the only story you were going to hear. Any other story, any other possibility. The guy was just breaking into the house because he was a robber. That wasn't going to happen. That he was somehow involved with Paul Pelosi sexually. That wasn't going to happen, right? There was going to be no narrative like that. No matter what actually happened, you guys would spit out a narrative that this guy was some right-wing conspiracy theory, Trump supporter, MAGA person, because that's your go-to move. And so whether that story is true or not, it's not believable because it's the story, no matter what happened, you guys would work this thing into being that story. We know that, right? Because you guys are liars, just like the Republicans are liars. And this is politics. And so the story's not believable because you guys would make that story be the story no matter what happened.
that is traumatizing too. But nonetheless, forgetting them, there has to be some healing process. And Democrats and Republicans, member of Congress, anybody could be a target. And we can't, there's no guarantee, but we can. In our democracy, there is one party that is doubting the outcome of the election, feeding that flame.
So the healing process means they have to stop talking about election fraud. They got to stop questioning your integrity and your I mean, that's not healing, right? That's you saying the other side's got to shut the F up because my husband got beat up by his lover, right? I mean,
and mocking any violence that happens, that has to stop.
The former president.
Okay, so it has to stop being liars, right? You guys have to stop being liars. Be honest. Be transparent. Come out and just say, all this political stuff, right? That's what should happen.
The United States, Donald Trump, Elon Musk, others have spread stories casting doubt on what happened, fomenting conspiracy theories. What do you have to say to them?
It's really sad for the country. It's really sad for the country that
the reason why there are conspiracy theories is because there are conspirers. You guys are conspirers, all of you, Democrats, Republicans, business people, all across the board. The media, you guys all lie, you conspire, you put out disinformation, you manipulate, you take advantage of people, you take advantage of the collective, you steal, you do horrible things. You create wars that shouldn't be. You're bought and sold by evil corporations. I mean, all of it. And so it isn't on the rest of us to believe you. It isn't on the rest of us to trust you when you're not trustworthy. Nothing that's out there is trustworthy. We're never going to know exactly what happened. And I don't want to. I don't care. But your stories are not believable. We're not the problem. You are, right? And all of them, like Anderson Cooper and, all these people. Fox News, I mean, it's everybody. It's both sides. You guys all lie. You guys all deceive. You guys all have talking points. You have all agenda. You all manipulate your audience. You work up people's emotions. You inflame their emotions. Don't blame us because we don't believe liars, right?
people of that high visibility would separate themselves from the facts and the truth in such a...
The facts and the truth that you're saying, right? Your facts that don't add up. It's your story doesn't add up. Explain why your husband was able to call 911. Explain why the guy let your husband answer the door and let the police in. Explain why your husband, instead of walking outside and allowing the police to come in and apprehend the guy, walked back in and started to struggle with the guy with the hammer, and that's when the assault took place. None of that stuff makes sense. Explain why you have no security. after everything that's happened, right? You're worth millions of dollars. Your husband's worth $110 million. You're worth, collectively more than that, right? And there's nothing there. Explain all those things. Explain all the discrepancies in every story that you guys choke out there. Explain why you guys are still obsessed with Trump, and that's all you ever talk about is how bad Trump is and the Trumpers are. That's your one go-to move. And how anything that happens is a Trump supporter who's delusioned by the, whatever's going on the internet. Explain all that stuff, right? Because that's why we don't believe you. That's why, who knows what actually happened, but we know that what you're saying is always questionable, right? Everything you say is questionable, just like everything Trump says. There's no truth tellers out there.
Blatant way. It's really sad, and it is traumatizing to those affected by it. They don't care about that, obviously, but it's destructive to the unity that we want to have in our country.
Exactly. You want unity. If people would just accept the story that you keep on force-feeding us, we could have unity.
But I don't have anything to say to them. I mean, we have nothing. There would be no common ground to have any conversation.
But what about the healing, Nancy? There has to be healing. If you don't have anything to say to them, how can we have healing?
With them.
Is there enough common ground as Americans to try to bridge this divide
Yes.
and lower the temperature? Because, I think people on all sides would agree that it does not seem sustainable.
No, I completely agree with you, but I wouldn't say on all sides, because the fact is this is a one-sided assault on our democracy.
Exactly. It's one-sided. It's one-sided. It's completely one-sided. So there's going to be healing if we get rid of the other side, because they're evil and we're good. And we don't lie, and they do. And, come on. Come on now. Like, we can have healing. We just got to get rid of the other side. And then we can have democracy. When we only have one party, then we can finally have democracy that works. Get rid of the opposition, and we can have democracy. That's how simple it is. Get rid of, and then we won't even have to vote because we'll have one party, right?
An assault on the credibility, integrity of our elections and the rest. There has to be some adult supervision on the Republican side in order to say...
there could be healing when the Republicans have adult supervision. If we can just hire some adult supervisors to manage the Republican Party for, like Democrats, if we put some Democrats in charge of the Republican Party, then we can have democracy.
Enough, but why not? We need a strong Republican Party in our country. I've said that over and over again.
You want a strong Republican Party?
Absolutely. GOP is a strong Republican Party, done great things for our country, and they should take pride in that instead of yielding to a cult, to a thug, actually.
A thug, a cult, that guy, that Trump guy, that thug cult.
I see it. But nonetheless, really to stay with the healing part of it, I think that...
Now that I've given you the solution, which is get rid of that Trump thug cult thing, let's stay with the healing.
Prayers. I mean, we have been receiving so many prayers, thousands of well-wishers with prayers for...
Thousands of them. Thousands, not tens of thousands, not millions. There's, a couple. I mean, let's just go. There's a couple people praying for us out there. We're praying that we hit the stock market again. My husband has this ability of just picking the right stocks when, I don't know how he does it.
Healing. And I think prayers are a unifying force. I also think...
Prayers are a unifying force. I'm going to go vacuum now. I'll give you $1,000, Nancy, if you say I'm going to go vacuum now when the thing's over.
That there are enough people who, while they may legitimately be Republicans, and I respect that, are not a party to feeding the flame of violence and disunity in our country.
Exactly. Only one guy's doing that. There was no disunity before Trump. There was no hatred coming towards the Democrats before Trump. There was no, any of these things. Trump was the only one. That Trump brought in the disunity.
Let me just say that it's about time. It's a time for healing, as Ecclesiastes says. Ecclesiastes says the time, and There's a time for everything, and this is a time long overdue for healing, to do so in a prayerful and respectful way, to do so open to hearing each other about the future.
But it's not Trump and his thugs. They can't have a voice. And anybody on the internet that doesn't agree with the official story, they should be deplatformed. And then we can have healing and a democracy.
Of our country. I do believe that our democracy is in danger because of what the others are saying about undermining elections, even now as we go forward.
There wasn't like there was an HBO documentary called Kill Chain that had prominent Democrats and all these people who, including Nancy Klobuchar, what's her first name? Whatever, Klobuchar, don't tell me, don't care, don't need to know. And all these other Democrats. It was about how the Democrats had to be worried about the election being rigged, how voting machines weren't safe. It was a whole thing on HBO. Excellent documentary. How they had hackers come in and show you how easy it was to hack voting machines. And it was about how Republicans were going to steal the election. How the Republicans, could steal the election. And how Hillary Clinton whined about the legitimacy of the election, right? So this is from AP, Russian hack undermined election with one Nancy J. Pelosi, otherwise known as Fire Marshal Schill.
Talking about calling for I'll let them make their own announcement, but to take us to a place where we find out, did a foreign government, and I know that we did, what is the role of a foreign government in undermining our election?
Wait a minute. You can't question the integrity of the electoral process, Nancy?
That would have been a necessary investigation.
That's what Trump does, Nancy. Come on. You're better than that.
Even if Hillary Clinton had won. It isn't about who wins or not. It's about what the interference is.
Exactly. It's not about who wins. It's about whether there's problems with the election integrity.
Every day, emails came out from the Democratic side. I frankly think there could have been more aggressive coverage of the fact that a foreign government was hacking our committees, but it just was like something that was going on. And
under a Democratic president who's the guy he put in charge of cybersecurity, gave his password to a hacker, right? Podesta gave his password to a hacker. He wrote a whole paper on cybersecurity for Obama, and they got hacked. The DNC got hacked. Podesta got hacked personally. They all got hacked, maybe by the Russians. We think so. And so it's just not right. Exactly. There's no integrity in our electoral process anymore.
Hillary Clinton's inner circle is not happy with the way President Obama handled news about Russia's election hacking. They think he was being too cautious, President Obama. And one of Clinton's advisors told the New Yorker, quote, "What if Barack Obama had gone to the Oval Office or the East Room of the White House and said, I'm speaking to you tonight to inform you that the United States is under attack. The Russian government at the highest levels is trying to influence our most precious asset, our democracy, and I'm not..."
Boom, right? This is what the Democrats were saying in 2017, right? Hillary Clinton.
Not going to let it happen. The Clinton aide went on to say a large majority of Americans would have sat up and taken notice. Do you think, in retrospect, that President Obama handled this the right way?
I think that President Obama handled it as he received information that was of the highest confidence. I do think, with all the respect in the world for the press, that the press could have done a better job instead of printing every email.
Exactly. You have to question the election results. Press. You can't just allow the election to be won by someone like Trump.
That came out and saying, this comes to you from Vladimir Putin. They were...
Putin, I tell you, it's Putin's fault.
I want to apologize. I'm sorry that Vladimir Putin has effed with me again.
John Podesta said this or that. I think the press were accomplices in the undermining.
Exactly. Undermining of what? The undermining of what? I got to go back here.
Undermining of our election by the Russians.
The undermining of our election integrity. Again, she's questioning the election.
Not pointing out this stuff is worthless because it comes from an undermining of our election, or at least reminding the public where these emails, the leaking of these.
It undermined our electoral process, not voting fraud, which is always a possibility. People cheat, right? People cheat. You guys are all liars and cheaters. Trump cheats, you all cheat. You guys would all rig the election. You guys would do that. If you had the opportunity to do it, you would do it. And the way they were saying that it was rigged was information was released, truthful information of these hacked emails that caused right-wing people who already hated Hillary Clinton to vote for Trump because of the Russia Today stupid YouTube channel. Compared to the level of, the media having complete, the media being, and social media being owned by the left, and you guys still can't win, right? This is Kill Chain, the cyber war on America's elections in 2020.
Voting is our capability to have a peaceful transfer of power. If you don't have that, the alternatives are revolutions.
Boom.
We call them voting machines, but they're nothing more than obsolete computers.
2002 is when they put them in service.
A commonly used argument, they are never connected to the internet.
No voting machines are connected to the internet.
Not connected to the internet. Not connected to the internet, and therefore cannot be attacked.
Oh, it wants to go to internet. That's very nice.
They are connected to the internet. So the voting machines are questionable. This was HBO. It's praised by the Democrats until they won, and then they were like, oh, yeah, voting machines are great, right?
In 2016, we know that Russian actors targeted state election systems.
When people say no votes were changed, it misses the point.
Imagine you go in and flip the digits of everybody's address.
When you prevent people from casting a ballot, you've hacked an election.
Boom. There's election hacking.
Hackers are a wonderful resource. Every voting machine in this room is in use in next election. We are here 3 days a year. The real adversaries, they run it 24/7.
So they had all these hackers, the Democrats, they had these hackers come in. This was a left-leaning HBO documentary. They invited hackers that came in, and they just, all of them could hack the voting machines, all of them. Every one of the hackers they brought in, they could, they cracked it, they could do whatever they want to it, right? And this is what the Democrats were putting out there in case they lost, and this was going to be blamed on the Republicans. But once the Democrats won, the voting machines were impeccable, right? And Nancy and these, oh, how dare you question the election?
With massive funding.
Hari takes it personally when people do stupid things with technology. What do you think the security pin is?
They upgrade to 111111. That was not a joke.
It's not a joke. Oh.
Buying the world's best 20th century military when the battlefront is election security. I had
Election security, that guy, Mark Warner, Democrat.
full access. I could have changed any vote.
It's called a kill chain. Weaponization.
It's called a kill chain.
Paralyzation. When the governments cannot take action, that's when you finish the target.
The cyber war on Americans' elections. Kill chain. And there was all these other people. Lizzie Warren, Nancy Pelosi, Lizzie Warren, Amy Klobuchar, that's her name, Amy. And more Democrats. It was loaded with Democrats. It was all about Democrats worried about the security of the election. And it came out right before the election, and then Trump lost, and then people were like, oh. And this documentary disappeared, and everyone was like, oh, elections are completely safe.
I do believe that our democracy is in danger because of what the others are saying about undermining elections, even now as we go forward.
You were saying the same thing. We now know that, right? I mean, maybe you knew it before, but now you see it. She said the same thing. In 2017, she said the same thing, as did so many Democrats. That Hillary Clinton wanted Barack Obama to come out and say, this election is going to be fraudulent. And she thought she was going to win, right? She was going to bed thinking she was going to win. She didn't call Obama up and say, hey, go out there and say the election's going to be fraudulent. But after the fact, she wished he had done that. The same way that Trump said, I'm worried about the election being fraudulent. But when Trump did it, it was a crime against the electoral process. They're hypocrites, right? Again, I'm not a Trumper. Trump is a lying, deceiving, whatever he is, right? He's kind of jumped the shark, whatever. But the hypocrisy here, right?
Forward. I think that if enough people in our country are aware of what that challenge is, it might change behavior on the other side. But I do think a great deal of the healing has to come within the Republican Party.
Yeah, that's, it'd be great if the other side always did that. It'd be great if it was just my enemy would change, the world would be so better. I mean, it'd just be a better place. It would be so awesome if my enemies would just change. I wish the other person would change, right?
Itself. And it's not up to me to tell them how to shape themselves. But again...
But I'm doing it. I'm doing it anyway. Because my husband got hit in the head with a camera by a guy in his underwear, possibly. He was and he wasn't. And then now he is and he wasn't. And he was and now he is. And then there wasn't again.
To have them take pride in what they have been and what they have done for our country.
If the former president, Donald Trump, runs again, do you think that healing is possible?
I really, I'm just in a place where I'm not ready to talk about what comes next tomorrow.
Oh, come on, Nancy. No, the answer is no. Right? Just say it. Just say no. We know what you think.
It's a very big day for our country, where our democracy is on the ballot, our planet.
It is on the ballot. It's on the ballot, the democracy. Unless it gets hacked. And, then it won't be on the ballot because the hackers might take it off.
On the ballot. Our values are on the ballot.
How concerned are you about tomorrow?
As I said,
yeah, you're over, Nancy. This is it for you. I mean, it didn't take a hammer to end your political career. She's going to be the minority. She's going to no longer be the majority leader of the House, and then she's old and she's going to disappear. And this is it for Nancy. This is her big farewell song. Her husband gets hit in the head with a hammer. She gets to sit down with Anderson Cooper, and everything is fine with America for now. And then tomorrow, you're gone.
Have heard from at least 50 of our candidates in races that are, shall we say, in some view, too close to call, in our view, ours. And I feel optimistic.
No, you don't. Look at that. That's a tell right there. That's her lizard tongue coming out right here. Her pearls, her fake pearls. They got to be real pearls, right?
It just depends on turnout. And I'm a former party chair, and I'm always about owning the ground and getting out the vote, and I feel confident that we're in that position. Their races are close. Some of them could go one way or another.
They're going to go the other.
Could split it, we'll see. But it's up to the people, and whatever happens, we will respect the results of the election.
Unless the Russians hack, and then we won't. Unless the other side wins, then elections all of a sudden they're not pure elections anymore. They're rigged. Nancy Pelosi thing went a lot longer than I anticipated. I didn't think I was going to cover the whole interview, but I did. So I'm going to skip the Madonna. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow on my other channel. Who knows? Probably. Some other things. But let's get through some of these other election-related stuff. Musk endorses Republicans as concerns grow over Twitter's impact on elections. Twitter's new CEO tweeted before Election Day that he wants Republicans to take control of the Congress, given that the presidency is Democratic, which is going to have no effect on anybody's vote, right? I mean, And then it says, concerns are growing over the impact of Musk's $44 billion Twitter takeover and how it will affect the midterms, which will determine control of the Congress. During his first week on the job, the billionaire went rogue, trying to drastically change the platform in an effort to cut costs and rebuild the company in alignment with his vision. And so there's more to this. Let's read these other headlines, and I want to comment about this, right? Days after laying off half the company, Twitter asked some employees to come back. Musk threatens to boot Twitter account impersonators. That's all these people who are claiming to be him, and especially ones who are celebrities. Twitter suspends Kathy Griffin's account for impersonating Elon Musk. she's just finding a way to get attention because she doesn't have any talent. She's not only not funny, but she's annoying and like abrasive, right? I mean, she has the opposite of effect of what somebody who's a comedian should have. Twitter suspends users for imitating Elon Musk in an early test of his free speech stance. Kathy Griffin ingeniously fights back after Elon Musk suspended her Twitter account. Kathy Griffin would not be silenced by Twitter owner Elon Musk on Sunday when he suspended her account for her impersonation of him. She then resurrected her deceased mother's account to proclaim Free Kathy and trigger a war of words with the world's richest man. And so this is, gaming the system. It's okay to do it if you're on the left, but people on the right here, there's a bunch of, tweets and things. It's just how lame they are, right? Like when it happens to them, they don't care if it happens to us in the truth community or right-wing people. What happens to them, they flip out, they whine, and they're not gentlemen, right? They're not gentlemen who won't complain when they get hammered in the head. The Democrats and some of these celebrities are all up in arms because now there is somebody who isn't a Democrat. He's not a Republican, right? Whether he urged people to vote Republican for the reason that the presidency is Democrat and that way it'll sort of balance out is not him being a Republican. But the Democrats have three major network news, ABC, NBC, CBS, and all those networks, comedians, all of it. They have pretty much all of Hollywood. They have CNN and MSNBC, and Fox is, fairly lame. It isn't Fox isn't what it used to be. And then they have Facebook, they have YouTube, they have Google, they have Instagram, they have pretty much every platform is pretty extremely liberal. And there's now one major platform that's basically neutral, at least that's what he's saying he wants, and they're flipping out, right? Like if they don't have control of every little simple thing, they flip out. And Kathy Griffin and Valerie Bertinelli, the same kind of stuff, right? You can't allow them to have one neutral platform, and they're, calling for censorship. And I covered this yesterday on my other channel with ADL and these other organizations putting pressures on Twitter's advertisers to make him censor people who are, on the other side. So it just shows you how weak they are, right? How faithless they are in their own vision and their own everything. They have to have every little shred of, control. Ted Cruz hit with a beer during Astros World Series parade in Houston. Man arrested. Not a big Ted Cruz fan. And usually I would find this pretty funny, except this happened here.
A little breaking news out of Houston here. I want to show you this moment that was caught on camera at the World Series victory parade for the Astros. Look at that. Okay, that was quick. This is Ted Cruz, Republican senator from Texas. He's on this float. Look what comes flying out of the crowd. This is a beer can. Boom.
It's a
gets
beer
chucked
can.
at his head. Either he...
It's a beer can. Not as funny as an actual beer. Because, you could kill somebody with a can. They threw a full can at the guy.
The guy in front of him kind of deflects it, it looks like. He did not need, we are told, any medical attention. You see it here again. Our team has learned that a suspect is in custody, arrested.
Things are just going south there fast, right? Those crazy Democrats and their extremism. I hope we can, this is what Nancy Pelosi was saying about the Republicans. Katy Perry slammed by fans after voting for billionaire Rick Caruso. Yes, she's all proud of herself, and I guess he's a Democrat. Democrat John Fetterman vows to fight corporate greed in a final pre-election rally. You can't fight inflation if you don't understand it, the Pennsylvania governor said. So apparently he was in Pittsburgh. And it says here, an opening notes of Styx classic Renegade came over the loudspeaker, and John Fetterman slowly descended from the balcony and proceeded to Godzilla the crowd, right? Frankenstein the crowd. I couldn't find the speech anywhere. But I did find some other things here, right? There's a variety of things on Twitter. So they're not even showing his speeches because, you know, he's horrible at speaking. But there was this.
You know, my entire political career was started on one vote. I won my very first election by one single vote.
No way. He won it by a vote. That's crazy. And then, you know, the thing happened with Trump.
And everyone that's willing to go out and go knock on doors and to get out the votes right now, because there is just so much at stake right now in this race right now.
Right now. It sounds like he's doing like battle rap, right? Fetterman want you to vote right now. Fetterman going to smash right now. Smash Fetterman right now. Fetterman smash right now. Fetterman read book right now. It's like he's doing so.
Votes right now because there is just so much at stake right now in this race right now. So thank you, all of you, everyone, for showing up. You know, we're going to be going all across Pennsylvania during this
right now.
Last day before Election Day. We've been all across Pennsylvania, and I just am so grateful to be with you here today. So thank you so much for having me.
Woo, Fetterman smash right now. And there's some Billy. They have Billie Eilish under Fetterman hashtag.
There is so much at stake in this election. Our rights, our freedoms, and
all of it. Our future.
Our future depends on all of us.
Exactly. And that's what we want to listen to. Some depressed. I mean, she has dreams of monsters. I wonder if she dreams of Fetterman. She says she has night terrors with monsters in them. And then she makes songs and videos about that and shares her depression and her various mental disturbances with your kids. Right? I wonder if she dreams about Fetterman right now.
Turning out to vote on or before November 8th. Please promise me that you will make a plan to vote. We have the
Are they going to promise?
Power. Let's use our power.
Exactly. Use Fetterman. Fetterman smash.
Unlike Dr. Oz and his Gucci loafers.
His Gucci loafers. Fetterman smash Dr. Oz right now. And his Gucci loafers right now.
I've actually taken on crime, and I actually made my community safer. One of my proudest achievements as mayor was when Braddock, we went 5.5 years without a gun death. I worked hand in hand.
Fetterman smash guns.
With the police, showed up at crime scenes, and fought to ensure enforcement.
Yeah, didn't he pull a shotgun on some dude, right? Fetterman smash crime right now.
Enforcement had the funding they needed. Why Oz has made millions peddling miracle cures, I rolled up my sleeves and put in the work to stop the violence.
Fetterman stop violence right now.
Here's the truth. I'm the only candidate in this race who's fought violent crime. And
I fight violent crime right now.
One.
Fetterman's.
Today, Dr. Oz is going to be standing with Donald Trump on the stage.
Boo! Boo, Fetterman. Fetterman smash.
With a president that is 100% sedition-free.
Yay! Fetterman smash! Yay, Fetterman! Woo, Fetterman!
With Trump and Mastriano. Let me tell you, this is a much better kind of crowd than that right now.
Yay! Woo! Yay!
The union way of life is sacred. Unions have built America.
And Fetterman smash America.
They've even built our middle class.
Fetterman smash the middle class.
And I will always stand with all of you if I, as the next United States Senator, always vote to support and pass the PRO Act here.
PRO Act. Fetterman like PRO Act.
Dr. Oz has spent over
$25 million.
$7 million of his own money.
Ooh.
Trying to buy the seat. But
Trying to buy it. Fetterman not buy feet. Fetterman smash.
this seat isn't for sale. So thank you for all the work that you're willing to do and all the help that you're willing to do. I'm so
Thank you for your help you're willing to do right now. Fetterman. He's looking like Shrek today. The thing is, I kind of hope he gets elected. Like, I don't like Dr. Oz either way, but if the Pennsylvania Democrats elect this guy, a guy who has a stroke, a guy who in no way should be a part of the government, right? I mean, they're all puppets. Anybody could do it in the sense of, they vote on things, right? I mean, that's about it. And so he's going to be told what to vote on. But I mean, to elect this guy, right? This young Frankenstein MFer.
The cost of living is just way too high for
way too effing high
for Pennsylvania families. Somebody like Dr. Oz with his
look at Dr. Oz and his look at him in his fancy
somebody like
look at his fancy dog and his fancy wife and his fancy hairdo and his fancy home.
Dr. Oz with his 10 gigantic mansions.
10 of them. Count them.
Couldn't care less. Does anybody really think Dr. Oz is going to stand up to the corporate executives? Off? Send Oz back to New Jersey.
New Jersey. Fetterman smash New Jersey right now.
Send me to D.C.
Where I can smash D.C. right now.
And get our economy back on track.
We can get his economy back on track right now. Fetterman smash. Okay, so I have one comment I want to address here. And the person writes, "Why are you obsessed with Britney, fam? There's a lot going on. Name of your channel is Pockets of the Future. You could be doing a lot more." This is great. Then somebody responded to him. He's not obsessed with Britney. If the ghouls play up, Paul's on it. It's boop hilarious. So why you butthurt, dude? And then there is another response here from the guys, and the person writes back, "I was addressing the creator directly. He has a voice and an authentic opinion that just isn't yours. Hence, go play. A lot more going on, like WEF, and several agendas to be struck on. Britney for over a decade is downright third-grade kids play. We know she's MK Ultra slave. Hence, hence funny. Furthermore, and too much." There's a read more. I didn't click on it, so we don't get the rest of this brilliant comment. But we get the gist, right? Ignoring the obvious boundaries I place about no advice, no complaints, and other things I say quite regularly. The boundaries I place here, which most of you guys know about. If this person watched regularly, they would know about. But forget all those things for now, because I often cover those things, but it's not important to this. I mean, it's implied we know about it. But, my whole life I've been known as an underachiever, right? Especially when I was younger. My parents, I was doing so bad in school that my parents took me for testing. They thought I was, impaired in some way. I had dyslexia, I'm introverted and whatever. And I went to some Yale thing. They tested me. It's like, the guy had a ponytail. He was weird. My dad was behind Dad was like, "Oh, we're watching you behind a one-way mirror." And so I started giving him the finger, and the room was filled with I was like 8 years old. And my dad encouraged me to swear at 7. So it was his own fault. And I'm giving him the finger, and he's pissed at me because there's all these people in the room with him. So they were observing me, right? But anyways, I tested with a real high IQ and all these other things. And then my family, my parents were kind of intimidated by me because first they thought I was, I don't want to use the derogatory term, but I was, like mentally handicapped in some way because I just, I didn't really get into school and whatever problems I was having. I thought I was doing great. I didn't know. I mean, there was a dyslexia thing. But anyways, and I had these various talents, and I was, a pretty good athlete, like, at least a college basketball playing level. Like I could play when I was, in my prime, I was comparable to a Division I basketball player. But, I was uncoachable and all these things. So I had these various talents, and, I didn't do anything with them. And, throughout my life, I had people who are like, oh, you're wasting your talents, whatever, you're an underachiever. So, I don't want to hear that boop for anybody else, because now we know it doesn't matter, right? Like, it just doesn't matter. Like, I could have done more for society, but at this point, if you don't see it, you don't see it, and I can't make you see it. But the system can't be saved. There's nothing I or anybody else is going to do about the system. The system's going to collapse when it collapses, and it's going to suck and be great, I mean, in terms of, our addictions and our dependence on it. It's going to be, the things that we like and need in the system or want in the system, and then those things will disappear. And there's nothing else, right? I say it over and over again. And so pretty much all this stuff is pointless because most people are wherever they are. I could know the truth impeccably. Like I could look into the Akashic records, know everything that's going to happen. I could predict everything 100% right. I could articulate it perfectly and people still won't change, right? They'd be like, hey, why aren't you making fun of Britney dancing? Right? Because that's what people want to see. The higher level stuff I put out, the less people will watch it, right? The more lowbrow it is, the more people watch it. That's how it is, right? If I dumb down my stuff even more, I would get more viewers. And if I, didn't say certain things, then my channel would grow even more. Both of them. And so that's how it is. The more highbrow it is, the more intelligent it is, the more accurate it is, the more positive it is, the worse it does. Look at the TV shows that are doing well out there. All the reality TV shows. Drama sells. People love drama. Sports is about drama. And then there's all these reality TV shows that are about drama. And there's just drama. People love drama. People search drama. They want drama. They don't want, good lives. I mean, there's a scene in the first Matrix movie where the Smith character is talking to Morpheus. And he said, we made a Matrix that was perfect. And it was, like a wonderland. It was a utopia. And you guys couldn't accept it, right? You didn't want it. You couldn't function in it. You were bummed that it was perfect. You guys wanted slime. You wanted filth. You wanted drama. You wanted all these things. You wanted corruption. And so that's the human experience. And aside from this is my channel, right? There's that. And aside from that, to keep the channel going, I have to make videos like, I have to include things like Britney dance or whatever it might be in terms of this person's comment. The bottom line, nothing's going to change anything. Very few people come to you with an open mind and an open heart. And those people are going to find something somewhere anyway, right? I mean, maybe not this, maybe not stuff like the spirituality stuff I talk about here, but all the rest of it, right? But, there's just something wrong with people who have to tell people, oh my God, you could be doing so much more. They feel like the need to give you some sort of pep talk. Like, they see so much more in you and they're going to try to pull it out of you, right? And, because they're coming from a superior position, like like they've made it somehow, right? Like, why don't you have a successful channel? If you can see in me, how I could be so much better, why couldn't you do that yourself? Like, why couldn't you, this vision you have of me in my full capacity as some sort of, perfect truther channel, why don't you make that yourself, right? Why aren't you doing that? Like, instead of telling me that, like, I could do so much more, it's like that time my brother and I are driving by the state workers, and it's early in the morning. My brother yells like loud. They heard him. Lean on each other till the shovels get here, right? Lean on each other until the shovels get here. Anyways, only spirituality will save this world. It's Paul Romano, definitely born from the apocalypse and the ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.